I think sometimes we get caught up in the technology and it's not really about the technology, it's about the behavior. If we would approach a stranger on the street, we should not approach a stranger online. So it's really about not getting lost in the tool. It's about let's really talk about what's important to us as people, our values, our beliefs, and really how do we project that in a digital setting.
You're listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Well, greetings from the Sunshine State. My name is Dr. Belinda Reyes. I serve as Assistant Superintendent in the School District of Osceola County, where we serve over 78,000 students in over 1,500 miles.
Doctor, welcome to the program. It's so great to have you here today. We've got a series of questions. We want to dive into your leadership in the district, how your district is excelling, inspiration we can give to other district leaders, and also how we can all get better at having a rich dialogue between kids and parents so we can keep them safe on the internet with all these new digital devices that everyone has. Welcome, everyone, to our program here today. I'm Josh Ochs, your host for the SmartSocial.com podcast. Doctor, it's great to have you here today. I want to start things off with a question. We want to get to know your community. What's the biggest accomplishment as a district that you all have had over the past 1 to 4 years?
In relationship to our technology, whipping around one on one devices almost overnight when COVID hit, we were poised to do so. We had some schools that had piloted, but we really went district wide in a very short period of time. Being able to bring instructions to the students while they had to be home during the pandemic was absolutely a work of heart. It took every employee we had, we worked together, but I would say the biggest accomplishment would be to continue education despite whatever the pandemic spikes brought to us.
Yeah, so true. For every district watching, listening right now, we definitely learned how to be fluid in what we do and how to be dynamic and make it all about the important things. The next thing I would love to talk about with you and get your advice on is what advice do you have for other districts that might be dealing with a social media issue that could originate on a social media app, but then create a very real problem on campus that afternoon, the next day, or when we go back to school on Monday morning?
That is really twofold. One is the proactive, right? How do we engage our community in a healthy way to communicate good happenings as well as concerns? How to use social media just as consumers within our own community to understand that we are here for each other. And that includes students and adults. It's really important for students to really understand what technology is and what it is not. It's about the communication that we have around topics such as what goes on social media may never really go away. So we have to mean what we say and watch our words. And when that doesn't happen, then we look at other measures such as our student code of conduct. How do we handle when students don't make the best choices on social media and just being really forthcoming with students. This is not an I got you. This is we want you to be healthy and safe. And because we now are connected to you really with one-on-one devices, they're interacting with programs from the school at any given hour that they're choosing, even after school hours. But if we think about the world, are we not all connected with technology? We need our students to really learn how to be good consumers of information and how to choose what they do and say online.
That's so important. And I know so many of our listeners and viewers agree with this is school, whether it's middle school or high school, is a great place to make some mistakes and to get guidance from the trusted adults who are the district leaders, the school, the counselors, and everywhere else. Like, hey, you made a little mistake. Let's learn from that. Let's move on. This is the right time to make those mistakes and guide them as well, which I absolutely love. Now, the next question I have for you, Doctor, is Can you provide some examples of how your students may have used their social media in a positive or productive way that may have benefited themselves or their community?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of our student organizations use it to really promote some social involvement that they have, some community outreach that they do. They promote what their work is, and they really share with the community how they can join in. It allows them to be leaders in our communities by rallying people around a cause that's important to them. They really gain a lot of leadership skills. They also have clubs that have some specific arts or some specific trade that they're competing in, and they use social media to really elevate the brand of their club. And all of this really is a mirror of what we do with our own social media, whether we are a public entity, education, or even a company. They're getting some really hands on experience in utilizing this resource in order to reach the masses in a really positive way. It, of course, highlights the work of the school and how we support our students. So we're always just happy to see it out there.
Absolutely. I love what you just said, and what I'm also hearing as well is this is the learner's permit. Hey, try driving the car safely. Let's use it positively. Let's get from point A to point B. We're always relating social media back to a vehicle where it's too late to give them the keys to the car when they get into college and go run free. Um,
Right.
Showing them how to safely drive in a positive way these devices. How do we drive it safely first? I love where you're going with that. So, the next question I have for you, doctor, is what suggestions do you have for parents to encourage their kids to use technology in a positive way, both in the classroom and at home?
The very first suggestion is to monitor the use. Easier said than done as a parent, I fully understand, but really be transparent with students, with their children, to let them know this is appropriate use and this is not appropriate use. This is what I allow in my household and how it really mirrors the values of the family. I think just to start there. I think sometimes we get caught up in the technology and it's not really about the technology, it's about the behavior. If we would approach a stranger on the street, we should not approach a stranger online. So it's really about not getting lost in the tool. It's about let's really talk about what's important to us as people, our values, our beliefs, and really how do we project that in a digital setting.
I so agree. And I love what you're saying here. For the many counselors who are watching us right now, we agree with you. And we believe that the only digital safety app in the world is that strong dialogue that parents have with the kids. So we're rooting for all those counselors we work with all over the country and district leaders and principals. This is what the doctor is saying without saying it is how do we strengthen the dialogue, that rich dialogue that we can have between kids and a trusted adult, whether that's in the district, in the
Mhm.
school, at home with a parent, a guardian. Because if kids feel comfortable coming to a parent, a trusted person, then they'll be comfortable saying, I saw something online today that I want to talk to somebody about. Rather than going to their 13-year-old best friend who has zero wisdom, zero wisdom. Sorry, kids. But we want them to go to a trusted adult. Doctor, I love what you just said. Now, let's dive into the next question I have for you. What are your suggestions for other districts to increase parent engagement? Remember, we're all about that rich dialogue. Follow up question that I'd love to hear from you as well is are there any specific channels or events that get the biggest turnout for parents, either on campus, digitally? What are those topics? Walk us through what's worked and not worked for your district.
If we look at it globally, districts in different parts of the country and different parts of the state really have to look at where are their parents getting their information. So I could tell you that for us, Instagram, Facebook, some are still Facebook users, but as an example, Instagram for parents. If we know that's powerful in our region, it used to be that we were in LinkedIn. We still have a presence in LinkedIn, but we know that for most of our parents, we're going to go to Facebook, we're going to go to Instagram. So where are your parents digitally living?
Mm.
Where do they frequent? And start there because it used to be that we would walk ourselves to places of worship. We would go to the local store because we knew that parents would pick up flyers there. This is the place they frequent. More and more online shopping, all these other venues. Where are the parents digitally living? And that's where I would suggest to districts to go tap into. So we do a lot of social media. We certainly go across platforms just to try and catch everyone. I would also say we also do some face to face parent engagement. We have our Family Empowerment Institutes, which are classes that are developed specifically for parents. And they were co developed actually by a group of parent leaders that came through. They're really about empowering families, about being leaders in the community and leaders in their household. So it's not your regular come and we will share with you these flashcards and what can you do with your children at night. It's more of you as a leader, as a person. Let's talk about how we could all help the children and how you could have a leadership role in that. And so part of the module is to really talk about this social responsibility through different media. And of course, now that we have AI coming into play, that's an extension that we'll be looking into adding as well.
I like that. I like how you're starting with the basic of where are parents at? How do we meet them there? How do we make it exciting for them? 100%. The last question I have for you, and you just did a great job of introducing it. We're going to talk about AI, the thing that everybody's talking about right now. But before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to all the districts we're working with who have asked us to engage their parents both on campus and through our 54 plus digital live events in English and Espanol and Mandarin and 10 other languages. Thank you for believing in us and distributing our resources into your community so there's no parent left behind so we can bring parents and kids together. And we are alleviating your district to all of our partners from a lot of the firefighting detective work and then back over to being a principal. So thank you for trusting us. We're grateful for the 50 plus big districts that are helping us to reach millions of people. All right, we're back to the program. Doctor, my biggest question for you is how is your school district approaching AI tools like Chat GPT?
Well, currently we are developing guidelines around the use of artificial intelligence. So I will have to keep you in tune with that. I don't have details on it as we're currently developing. What I can tell you is my humble opinion. So my humble opinion is that this is a tool like any other. I know that there are so many educators very concerned and rightly so that students may be using Chat GPT to cheat. What I would pose is that students using Chat GPT to cheat is going to equate with the concern that we once had that students will use calculators to cheat. I think that what our focus needs to be is how do we use this high end tool as the calculator once was, right? How do we use this high end tool to facilitate students having higher order thinking to be able to answer bigger questions that we haven't even come up with? I will tell you, I was at a keynote with Holly Clark and she was sharing, by 2027, that's 3 years. In 3 years, um, artificial intelligence will be 1.3 billion times smarter than the most intelligent human because of course it's being built off of the knowledge of millions and millions of humans. Let's think about that. Let's think about the fact that they're saying that AI will be able to really emulate human emotion, to emulate empathy, to be able to really read people's emotion. That is scary to people
Yeah.
because they feel like, will this take away jobs? Well, it's interesting. I saw a quote and truly believe it. And the quote is artificial intelligence will not take away anyone's job. people who know how to use artificial intelligence will take your jobs. So I think that as educators, as parents, what we need to make sure is that students are utilizing it in a way that forwards their thinking, that really captivates something special that humans have that computers could never take away, right? And so I would say to you that there are many pluses to using artificial intelligence. Already, we've seen advances for students with disabilities, with communication disorder, and how AI has really made it possible for them to engage, particularly as we're looking at inclusion. There is no separate little world that exists for people of one kind or another. So, students with disabilities will need to graduate. They will need to provide for their families. They will need to compete for jobs. And so it is crucial that they're really included in every aspect of education within the mainstream classroom as much as possible. As much as their disability will allow. And AI is really a tool that, based on what we've seen already, I truly believe will elevate their experience in being included in that mainstream setting.
Absolutely. Just a quick side note for all of you district leaders that are working with us. Once a month, we have How to Be a Homework Hero, and it's for parents and district leaders. And if you haven't used calculus and you're doing homework with your kids, How to Be a Homework Hero. So you're at home, you're side to side with your kid, asking it the calculus questions, and AI doesn't give you the answer. It gives you how if you can find the answer. And all of a sudden, now AI becomes the ultimate tutor. There are lots of free tools that we go over every single month. There's Khan Academy's Khan Migo, which is an incredible one. It is $4 a month, but then there's the free Chat GPT. There's Claude. There's all these other ones. We walk you through it as a parent, how you can use it. If you're ever interested, it's free at smartsocial.com, brought to you by our foundation. Hey, doctor, I want to thank you today for all that you're doing. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time here today. And for the many other districts who are watching or listening, you can get a free demo pass of smartsocial.com's platform and all of our parent engagement programs. And you can ask us any questions about keeping your community safe so they can shine online. To the rest of you listening, remember, just as the title of my book says, keep it light, bright, and polite because our kids are watching. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for listening to our SmartSocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our SmartSocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.